Francesca, Kurtz, and my art project is called The Power of Vulnerability. So, I've always been afraid to do an art talk. It's something I've considered since grade 8 when I was applying to ESA and watching the graduate art talks. The prospect of standing up at OCAD and talking about my art to a room full of people terrified me. First of all, I never knew what I would say, or even what my art was about. And second of all, I hate talking about myself. I grew up as a very anxious kid. I wasn't shy, but I was really anxious, and to distract myself from what I was thinking or how I was feeling, I would draw. I've always felt very connected to my artwork, and I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. When I was 4 or 5, I remember my dad pulling out boxes and boxes of old drawings, and every single one had a different girl I imagined in a different effort. For most of my life, I drew portraits of imagined people. None of my art centered myself or my experiences, and every piece had a fictional story behind it. As I got older, I stopped incorporating imagination into my work, and I started gravitating towards the expectations I had set for myself and for my pieces. I became hyper-focused on how others saw me, and I wanted to prove my perfection through art. At an age when my insecurities started to feel louder in my imagination. Not a single painting of mine held any significance to me beyond admiration of the finished results. And I stopped creating stories for the figures I drew, and I started focusing on perfecting their hands, faces, and bodies. Everything I made was completely meaningless to me, and I was not making art to understand myself or the world around me. I was just trying to create and preserve something perfect. My fixation to beauty and perfection held me back from creating work with any power. Nothing I made felt unique or special, not to mention so far from my goal of hyperrealism. The worst part of these pieces was that they genuinely brought me no joy to create. I remember how frustrated I would feel with it until I decided that it was finished, and my art assignments always felt like chores. Grade 10 was transformational for my artwork and style development. That summer, I had my first important relationship. I dated a guy who I would end up breaking up with for assaulting me, and I remember how hurt and angry I was, but most of all, I was genuinely just so confused. The worst part of that was that I didn't tell anybody in my life, and I went along with everything he said about it to try and forget it and pretend nothing had happened. I lost interest in everything that had brought me joy, including my art. A few months later, I needed to start making work for school again, and I had no idea how to make art anymore. Nothing around me felt beautiful, and it made no sense for me to create these beautiful, perfected, realistic pieces when my reality was brutal. I decided to just paint over an old canvas I had made, and it ended up becoming one of my favorite pieces ever. So this is the piece I made. I chose to just let myself paint, and I put all of my anger, frustration, and hurt into making this piece. I was left with a physical representation of exactly what I was feeling and what I couldn't say. Subsequently, making this piece allowed me to start talking about my experience, and during the process of creating this, art started to become about self-expression, healing, and connection, and I understand how I felt for the first time. That painting inspired my style to switch into abstract and self-centrism. I started using art as a tool to process my emotions, my experiences, and anything that I was going through. It started feeling similar to how I would distract myself from my thoughts in elementary school. I was inadvertently working through my anxiety through art. Every piece I made slowly started to become incredibly meaningful to me, and it held such significance to my own life and felt like a testament to my experience. I started to love every piece I made, and it stopped frustrating me to create. It would make me upset, it would make me happy, it would make me sad, but it would just make me feel. It would never frustrate me. For the past year, I've started using art to process a lot of difficult situations, and through that, I've developed my style significantly. I've watched all of my paintings and drawings grow to reflect my own experiences, fueled by my own emotions and thoughts, and they often speak to what I can't say. These are sometimes beautiful, and they're sometimes not, but I stopped fearing the vulnerability, and I chose to turn it into something that could empower my work. Furthermore, the experience of understanding myself through art has benefited me so much in my personal life. Not only has it helped me work through my own mental health, my relationships, and my confidence with art and just existing, but it's truly just helped me become a better person. Now giving this art talk, I still hate talking about myself, but it's probably one of the most vulnerable things I can do. Thank you so much to the art department, and thank you for listening.